Hello everyone, today I thought I would talk about this list of things that I wanted to learn. Because there's a lot of things here that I just got my first guitar, and there's so many things to learn. It's not like piano where it's like, oh, you just start with finger exercises, then you learn your chords, then scales. There's a lot of things that you have to learn or that you'll end up learning at some point. And so, for me, it's very overwhelming with all of the things that there's to learn. And so, I made this list, which goes over what things I should be focusing on learning and what things I should wait for learning. So this is like beginner stuff, this is what beginners should probably be learning, I imagine. And this is stuff that I'll probably want to learn at some point, but I could wait till I am able to play better. And once I've learned these things up here. Anyways, so now instead of having to be worried about all of the different things I want to learn and that I will probably have to learn anyways, I can just be focusing on these things now. Now that I have a list of things, So, yeah. So first, which is what I'm currently working on, is finger exercises, which, I've been, the days that I have been practicing throughout summer, which by the way, summer has been kind of up and down, Aussie tide and so on, so it's been difficult to find days when I have actually been in the mood to practice, but the days where I were in the mood to practice, most of those days I'm pretty sure I ended up practicing a bit. There's been other things throughout summer too that has been like, just kind of made it difficult to practice, But I've still managed to practice at least a few times a week, maybe a couple of times a week. So that's good enough for the time being. I also don't have any kind of daily routine currently, which makes it difficult to kind of like practice every day because you don't have any kind of routine. But luckily, I'll be starting up in school in like a couple of weeks from now, I think. And once I start up on school, which isn't really school, but it's difficult to explain, then I'll get back into a daily routine, and practicing will become a lot easier to do every day, even on days when I'm not really feeling like practicing. So that's good. That'll at least be figured out soon, so I don't have to think too much about that. And with finger exercises, the first exercise I ever did was a spider pattern. And, like the first thing was remembering the string positions, which I felt like a spider pattern did a pretty good job on. Like going up and down the strings I found really helps. And when I started out, I could not do this at all. I had a hard time. But at this point, I have been practicing for about a month now, and I can do the spider pattern pretty well now, without making like too many mistakes. I think my main issue at this point is just pressing down at the frets in the correct spots. Sometimes I accidentally press on the fret itself, but that's obviously just more practice will probably fix that. So, I'll keep practicing this. Now, I also did the minor pentatonic scale. I did this one because that was what the video suggested, and it's fine. I have noticed that I'm struggling a little less with playing it as well. I feel like I can stretch my fingers a little more than I could before. So, yeah, but I have been doing some other finger exercises too to kind of help with stretching my fingers just a tiny bit more. So it makes playing specifically the scale a bit easier, because it's like you have to put like your second finger on the third fret and your pinky, I'm pretty sure, your fifth finger on like the sixth fret. And that's like quite difficult to reach that sixth fret. But I find it to be a little bit easier now. So that's nice. And then obviously I've also been practicing. I did some research on finger independence, and I found a video that talks about it. And I've been doing some finger independence stuff. Because I was trying to play a Lonely Day, and man, moving between like the strings to like play the different notes felt very difficult. And so I was like, okay, I probably need to go practice some finger independence. And then I'll come back to this later. Once I'm able to, move my fingers a bit more, so I'm able to move between the different strings faster and more easily. So yeah, I also want to learn to play Toxicity. This was like the first metal song I think I ever listened to really. So yeah. I mean, I suppose it depends on if you count Linkin Park as a metal. It's like, if you count some of their songs as metal, I suppose some of them, like One Step Closer, could be counted, and same with Faint. But anyways, so the first ever like metal band, I guess you could say, that I listened to a lot. But anyways, I would like to learn to play these two songs. So yeah. Now, after I'm done with the finger exercises and stuff, these mostly focus on, since I'm left-handed, when I hold my guitar, I play the fretboard with my right hand. Which means that for you, this would be your left hand. But for me, it's my right hand. So I've been practicing a lot of exercises with the fret hand. Yeah, but eventually I'll probably have to practice my right hand as well. So that's what I'll do afterwards. Since most of these exercises focus a lot on moving around the fretboard and the strings and so on. And so I'll have to start practicing some strumming / picking exercises as well. Once I've gotten that down though, and both of my hands are at least somewhat able to play stuff, I can start learning about chords and chord progressions. I already know and scales. I already know about chords and chord progressions from the time I played piano. Which I did do a bit earlier this year. But yeah, that's my chord. So, I already know about this, but I never looked any of this, and same with scales. I never looked any of this for guitar, so I'll have to learn about this on guitar as well. And then in advanced, we have some dissonance, kind of important for metal music, so it would be nice to learn about that. We have some things like thrash right here that I don't think it's the right time to learn right now, but that I would eventually want to learn as well. And then there's some songwriting stuff. A lot of this I've already learned with piano, just not with guitar yet. So again, harmony I'll learn with chords and chord progressions, but melody and rhythm, I would really like to know how it is that you make those for guitar. I've been experimenting a bit around with it, so we'll see where it goes. And finally, obviously, like for metal songwriting, drums and bass is needed too. So I'll need some drums. I mean, I won't be able to fit a drum kit in my in my room, so yeah. But a bass I could get. So drums will probably have to be like digital ones. But that's fine with me, really. I don't really care that much about it. So yeah, but I would still like to, learn about both of these anyways. Um, but this will first be later, so I'll keep trying to experiment around with like songwriting and stuff, while also making sure that I practice a bit too, so I can become better at playing guitar as well. But that's really it, to be honest with you. So yeah, guess I'll see you guys in like a few months or something like that, and see how things are going. Bye.